Welcome everyone. I'm to this second Destination Earth Service Platform Innovation Prize. My name is Kostas Bisas. I'm going to be facilitating this kickoff event today, or this challenge. This challenge is being organized by the Destination Earth Use Cases Project, with contractors being REA Group, Aristotle University of Thessaloniki, and Trust IT. Today, I'm guessing that people joining in are already aware of what Destination Earth is. We will be asking you to be ideating the impact of DESP. So just a short notice of what to remind ourselves what Destination Earth is. Well, it's an initiative run by the European Commission and has three major components. The data lake, implemented by EUMETSAT, the digital twins and digital twin engine, implemented by ECMWF, and the service platform, DESP, as we call it, implemented by ESA. Now, DESP is the portal, let's say, the entry point for any user, any end user, any policy and decision maker to access the technology that is being developed and will be a reality soon. Now, Destination Earth is an initiative. A lot of people are working on it at this current moment. A lot of serious work is taking place, and however, in today's challenge, we want the participants of this challenge to imagine a service that uses capabilities of DESP inspired from a story based in the year 2050. Now, as I said, today, Destination Earth is an initiative. In the year 2050, Destination Earth will be a reality. DESP will be in place, data lakes will be in place, the digital twins will be in place, and hopefully we will have a very accurate representation of the Earth in a digital environment. So before we start to dig into the details of this challenge and how it's going to work for the next month or so, we have three invited speakers where from their perspective and their work they are doing in their organizations will be sharing with us the state-of-the-art of what they are developing. So we've got Daniele from EUMETSAT, Daniel from ECMWF, and Alexis from Serco. So I stop sharing my screen and I pass over the microphone to Daniele. Sorry if I have mispronounced names, but please.
All good, thank you for the introduction. Good morning to everyone. I'm Danielle Pechmay, working at EUMETSAT. As you mentioned before, EUMETSAT is in charge of the development of the Destination Earth Data Lake component of DestinE initiative. So I will use this nice slide from my colleagues of DestinE, which highlight each component and who's developed what. So you can see highlighted with a cycle, the data lake component, which EUMETSAT is developing. This component interact with the digital twins developed by ECMWF and the digital twin engine. So the output data are dropped into the lake, and the data lake also interfaces with a core platform, which provide a lot of services and advanced ones. And the user from the core platform can also pick up those data together with additional ones you will see later on. So on my next slide, I will show you what are the services provided by the data lake. You might have already seen this diagram. I will try to not repeat too much myself, but to explain from a data access point of view, what the lake offer. And so from a user of the core platform, what you can have access to. So the data lake, as I say, interface with the digital twins, which are which are running on different HPC centers. So the output data are dropped into the data lake. So you can see here a kind of animation. In blue, I simulate the data which are dropped into what we call the data warehouse. Also, the data lake interface with many data providers, others. We call that access by federation. So you can see in green on the left side, some data can be directly accessed via the data lake to the providers, or there is also a cache of the data within the lake, and a user from a desk perspective can access those data in an harmonized way, meaning there is a layer on top, what we call the harmonized data access layer, which is a protocol, a language which is stack compliant, which unified the way to access either digital twin data or data from the different providers. So this is what we call the discovery of data, of the data portfolio. I will explain later on what is the exact content of it, and also how user can access data through multiple ways. In addition, on top of that, there are near data processing services, which are provided by the data lake component. So it's basically services which allow user to work with the data within the lake, so in proximity to the data. It is a service for, let's say, decision and policymakers. Those services enable also AI/ML, etc. But this is also possible using the DestinE resources, the cloud resources offered to every user through the DestinE platform. Just to say, this component is developed by the European industry and more specifically by Claude Ferro, CS France, and EODC. On my next slide, I will highlight a small user journey with a focus on the data lake. So that we are a user from the core platform, and you can, as I said before, access data. So you can discover them, digital twin ones, the one by federation. There are some advanced services, which I mentioned before. And those data can be then retrieved to the core platform, and you can play with it, create new models, services to create new information and solutions. Now, let's speak about the data portfolio. So this is basically the list of the data which you will have access to through Destination Earth. So the main ones of the digital twins data which run on the HPC centers, and there are two today, which are the climate change adaptation digital twin data and the extreme weather and geohazard data. And I said it before, we provide access to other data sets, which are various in terms of data spaces and also type. So what are they? They are like the data from the contributing missions of the different agencies from EUMETSAT, ESA, and ECMWF. We also facilitate the access of Copernicus satellite and services data. So we interface with those. Also, there is Eurostyle data available in cache, together with ECMIP, YAGOS, and in a near future, a lot of more data from different data providers. Because indeed, this portfolio is user-driven, so it will evolve and grow up based on user needs, and is controlled by the European Commission and a Destination Earth board defined internally. On the last line, you can see it's task compliant, but I've said it before. Now, in terms of data volume, you can have an overview of what we mean by the volume of digital twin data. So it's quite big. That's why on top of the access service, we provide near data processing services to avoid to move the data all around the system. And from this, you have also a way to access those data efficiently and quickly. I mentioned that we sometimes copy of federated data, which is a cache of the most used data. We will monitor what is most used and cache it to make it accessible for the community in an easy way, an efficient way. So we have today 100 data set approximately. And on top of that, the federation access. So we just allow the user to connect directly to the provider. And today there are a bit less than 200 data sets available. And it represents a big volume as well. Now let's go back to the challenge, which is to find useful services. So I can explain a bit what we've done within the data lake development. So to demonstrate the services of the lake, the usability, and to gather also some user feedback, we developed some use cases around different thematics. And here I will list them, and like maybe it can inspire you and give you a nice idea within this challenge. So we have developed some use cases about disaster risk to mitigate them, about floods and drought. There is also an ongoing development about water management. So we are building a dashboard to monitor water reservoir in a specific region, which is the Danube Delta at the moment. And we are about to work on other use cases which are linked to agriculture and crops, how climate change can impact crops, about biodiversity, forest biodiversity, for example, it could be also other type of biodiversity. Around health, there is also some nice application which could be about air pollution in cities, or harmful plants or harmful pollutants for the humans. And the last one, which will be developed quite soon, I hope, is about energy and how, for example, extreme event can impact the energy supply at different scales. So that's some ideas which might maybe inspire you, I hope. And my last slide is about a user story from data lake perspective. It's quite short. So imagine you have a flood risk, what I said just before. You want to assess flood risk in your region. You connect to the core platform. You want to answer to some questions. So you go through the lake, you access different type of data. And then those data can be retrieved to the core platform to develop some improved adaptation, improved warning, or forecast to create new services for the community. And it will answer to your question, I hope. So that's my last slide. Thank you very much. I hope I was on time. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer. And I pass the ball to my colleague from CMWF, Daniel, I think.
Thank you, Daniel. Just a note of for the participants, we will have a Q&A in the end, so you can type in your questions in the Q&A button, and we'll get back to you once we're done. Thank you so much, Daniel. Daniel, yes. Looking forward.
Okay, let's go. I've got a couple of slides as well, as you can imagine. Okay, let me know whether you can see it or not.
Yes.
Yes.
Good. Excellent. Oops. Let's start at the beginning, I think. So I'm just talking about what EasyWF is doing. Let me just remove some things. And you've seen the slide just now from Daniel. We are in charge of the digital twin engine and the digital twins, two of them at the moment, climate adaptation DT and extreme weather extremes DT. The digital twin engine really is a software infrastructure that we provide to help get access to data via the data lake, via the data warehouse. Two services that we offer via the desk are the Polito that allows for accessing or to pinpoint the data that you need from rather large data sets, as you've seen how big the climate DT data is. We also have a notification service called Aviso that tells the user via the platform if and when new data has arrived that he has subscribed to. But that's more of the background. So there's a supporting software infrastructure to get access to data and make sure that the twins can run on diverse and heterogeneous platforms like EuroHPC. The first high priority digital twins that we are developing in-house and as well as procured are the climate adaptation twin. This is a fully procured activity led by a consortium led by CEC. It's really to support policymaking for adaptation and has multi-decadal timescales. We are currently in the process of developing or projecting or creating the first data set that will be ready for launch on the desk and on the data lake. And we have the weather-induced extremes, focusing on rapid response to extreme events. This is really looking at a few days, and there are two components to it. I'll come to that in a minute. Both these TTs establish bespoke cutting-edge simulations of the Earth system and provide Earth information at scales where the impacts of extremes and climate change are felt. So they're global projections on simulations, but they are at a scale of kilometer size. The climate TT, here's an example, is first really operational capability for climate projections. Questions you could ask, for example, are how will the climate evolve over the next decades following a certain scenario, A or B, and if a particular event happens, such as somewhere a volcano and so on. It's to test the impact of certain events, scenarios, and policy decisions. And as you can see, it's a rather expensive thing to run on EuroHPC. One scenario really 1.5 million GPU hours, or if you run on the CPU, it's 30 times that. But just as a comparison, currently, you may know the IPCC is doing projections at a rough resolution of 100 kilometers, and you can see what our digital twin compared to that does at 5 kilometer resolution. It's a much higher resolution where you can see the impacts of climate change at the local level rather than on a almost continental scale. We have an end-to-end climate DD workflow that is including selected applications on the EuroHPC machine Lumi. The projections are currently running at 5 kilometers with two models, IFS and ICON, and we are streaming two selected applications directly so that they can grab when the data is available, but the data is of course also available on the data lake afterwards. Really, this is to allow or provide globally consistent climate information at kilometer scale. And you can see an example. How do you optimize a portfolio of wind farms to maximize energy yield? If you have that information at kilometer scale, you're much better prepared in the future, and that's probably one of the scenarios you might be looking at as use of the DESP as well. The current, just as a comparison, current is 3 to 6 hourly data. We do 1 hourly data, 100 kilometer scale resolution. We do 5, and so on. So it's a significant step in the operationalization of climate information. Just an overview what we have done in phase 1. What's the end of phase 1 goal? So phase 1 ends in June, and we'll kick straight away into phase 2. So we have the projections running on Lumi at 5 kilometer and 10 kilometer with two models. We can monitor and assess the quality of the DD simulations and also stream information to selected impact models that are and use cases are already included in the consortium in the project. And that are those included in the workflow. Here's a representation of what's called the generic state vector. That's a new approach to streaming the data to users and applications. The second part, which is maybe slightly less important here, but still very important to users like National Meteorological Services, is a magnifying glass on extreme events. We have two components here. One is the global component that is really a global forecast 4 days ahead and a resolution to 2 to 4 kilometers. If and when an extreme event is detected by this global forecast, we can then trigger a much higher resolution, 750 meter, that focuses on Europe at the moment. The triggering is done by the consortium that's leading this, Météo France, and national member states, and gives really a much higher resolution. And one example is here of a rainfall compared of an event, the global one. You can see 9 kilometers is barely resolved, the hydrology there. But if you go down to 0.8 kilometer, what we're doing at the moment, this is really better resolved and better information available to Met services and national authorities for warnings in terms of extreme events. Okay, we do have plans for phase 2, and that's just a quick information here. More operational level execution. We continuously evolve the DTs as science progresses in both climate and weather forecasting. And we are, of course, working on efficiency quality, working on definition of a framework for what-if generation protocols, because when you have a scenario that needs to be translated as well into computational changes in the models. And we have to, we enhance the interoperability through certain technology and transfers with other DTs that might be coming on in the future. As Daniele also mentioned, we have use cases, some are embedded into the twins directly, some are separately procured, that go on urban heat, energy system, forestry, hydrometeorology, air quality, hydrology, and compound flood risks. These are all using the data coming from either the climate DT or the extremes DT, and they are in the moment concluding their work to assess how good the data is usable, how well the data is usable for such users via the platform and the data lake. There's also engagement, but I'll skip that. It's just our plan for how we focus in future on engaging stakeholders in an open dialogue and as well as targeted partnerships. I think that's me. So I'll stop sharing, and questions can come afterwards.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. So we'll keep the questions coming in the end. Alexis.
Yes, perfect. Hello, everyone. Good morning. I'm pleased to introduce you to the DestinE platform. I am from Serco. We are leading with a large consortium of European companies the implementation of the DestinE platform, the core service platform for ESA. So we have run through the first two components of the DestinE initiative, Digital Twin Engine and its two digital first twins, the DestinE Data Lake, and now we are getting into the DestinE core service platform, which is going to be the platform, a unique entry point for users to enjoy all the resources and capabilities brought by the DestinE initiatives through services, tools, applications, and resources that will be made available to users on the platform. As this innovation challenge is on services, on the platform, and projecting ourselves in the future of the platform and of DestinE, I think it's important for you to have an overview of what's the DestinE platform. It's, in brief, a unique ecosystem of services. By that, we mean that you will be able, through the DestinE platform, in a few months from now, to discover different sets of services that will enable you to go further in the exploitation of the DestinE data and resources. We'll run through this initial set of services in a few minutes. And the DestinE platform is harnessing the power of Destination Earth. So all the computational resources, HPC, the digital twin engine, and the data lake are brought together through a single entry point, which is the DestinE platform, relying on European cloud infrastructure. And I think that's very much the essence of the platform. In terms of services that are going to be available on the platform, we have two kinds of services. The first one are, let's say, platform management services. It's going to be all the services that are necessary for you to expose and share your service on the platform. Then we have the data services, which are what am I going to be able to do as a user on the platform. So first point, who our typology of users are. So we have European institutions that are going to be using the platform. But for this challenge, you're going to have to project yourself also on the evolution of the platform in 2050. So anticipate also who are going to be the users of the platform in 20 or 30 years from now. The services that we have at the launch in a few months from now are data access services that are going to enable you to access the data stored by the data lake. You're going to be able to visualize this data through the services available on the platform. But the data that you are able to visualize or access, you may also want to process it, transform it. We're going to provide you collaborative environments, processing environments, and software development environments, so you can also build your own services and applications from the data that is made available through DestinE. So please find how to best use these services in order to anticipate what the future services will be. I want to be brief on that because we want to leave it as open as possible on the platform. The idea, project yourself in 2050, try to anticipate what are the challenges that the world is facing, what are the solutions that you may bring into this platform, try to understand who are the users and be bold, project yourself in the future in 2050, pave the way to a better future. You want your services to align with the European Commission objectives, with the Green Deal, with the digital strategy, try to anticipate what's going to be 2050. We see, for example, in the recent years, a real acceleration in technology in terms of computational ability, resources, LLM, generative AI. The ultimate goal would be for you to understand what is the next step coming into these foundation models, but this is already in the next 10 years. Be bold, project yourself to 2050, and really be try to embrace the objectives of DestinE. Kostas, I leave you the floor now.
Thank you very much. Great passing point for what I want to carry on talking to the participants about. So thank you, Alexis. So now a final remark about what it is that we actually want from people participating in this challenge. So yes, be bold, project yourself in the future. We need you to imagine hard. We want people to and teams who will participate to imagine a future where services will actually have an impact in everyday life. So at this point, we would not want you to be discouraged if you are unaware of the full capabilities of Destination Earth. Rather, we want you to help us go a bit further. Can you push the boundaries of what we have already, what already has been happening and what work is carrying on? So you will be asked to select a story from the year 2050, which shortly I will tell you where to find. And we want you to be inspired by it. So we don't want you to necessarily place a service within that story that you read, but we want you to be inspired by it. And we have a list of questions that will help you, guide your thinking to gain this inspiration. Now, how you are inspired by the story is completely up to you and your teams. You can be as open as you wish in terms of your thinking. But what we want you to do is we want you to be inspired by fiction, but also we want proposals that are grounded in the reality as we understand it today. So, you know, we don't want anyone to be talking about aliens unless they have specific evidence. Okay, so let's keep it like that. We like science fiction, but we very much enjoyed science fact in this challenge. We want you to navigate the questions that we have assembled in our FAQs. All the information that we are sharing today, this video and the information I'm sharing to you about this challenge now is available on the challenge's website. So don't worry if you miss something, it's already there. And after you've generated your creative thoughts, we want you to put them into a form of a service in some kind of mock-up of the service, so we can relate to it. So how would you portray this service to someone who comes across it for the first time? You can make visuals, 3D renderings. If it's a service on a web platform or some mobile device, you can develop wireframes. You can share videos with us. You can role play. There's so many, let's say, prototyping ways that you can actually make us believe your service and make us believe and understand what the reality you propose might be. Just a note here, we don't want anyone to start coding and going deep into coding specific applications. Wireframes and images are fine for this challenge. So we want you to spend more time imagining and imagining hard and inspiring the community and inspiring people working on this initiative to push it further. So we're really counting on your contributions. So in terms of the stories from 2050, we are using a publication from the European Commission named Stories from 2050, Radical, Inspiring, and Thought-Provoking Narratives around Challenges and Opportunities of Our Futures. Now, this publication compiles of a bit more than 20 stories generated by professional authors, but the content and much of the content has been generated through futures workshops and foresight activities with the public. So it actually captures preferred and non-preferred futures and always depicted in a narrative so that this narrative can inspire us and this narrative can motivate us, because we might want to go towards this future portrayed in the story, but maybe we do not want to. So it's up to you, the teams, choosing a story and working with it and understanding its implications further ahead. Now, it's 20 stories, more than 20 stories available. If you want to choose one, we have a suggestion for you. It's the story on page 44 of this publication, Memories on the Recovery of a Mediterranean Fishing Village and Coastline by Toti Konola and Matthias Weber. Now, we've used this story in the past, and we chose it because it's not just about technology. It's also about social interactions and stakeholders that are not just the end users, that maybe can inspire you to think of services that are not just technology driven, but socially driven as well, and community driven. So this is a story that we would suggest you to go and start from. If you wish to choose a different story, that's fine by us. But if you just want a starting point, this could well be it. Now, the questions that we would like you to consider as you read the story. Maybe as you discuss with your team, you start sharing what struck you most about the story that you read and why it struck you. And then maybe you start coming up with the themes that you identify in the story that you would wish to address in your proposal. For example, a community development project, or a new friendship that comes up, or something that has to do with how a technology interacts with the environment and how users use this technology and where it happens, where this use happens. Now, these themes probably they exist today. So maybe it's interesting to, after identifying these themes, understand where they stand today and where they might be projected towards tomorrow. Now, in this, you might consider a projection, a direct projection, but maybe you have ideals that you want to bring in and say, okay, you would prefer this theme to go towards a specific direction, a positive direction. Maybe you can use that for your advantage as you carry on in your thinking. And then you start developing your proposals. Where will Destination Earth make a positive contribution in these themes? Where can you imagine this contribution to take place, and how? So then we hope that you will start being led into expressing a vision and a mission of a proposal, and somehow expressing how you expect the world to be different once your proposal is going to be in place, once it's going to be a reality. Who are the people involved? These can be end users, but these also can be stakeholders, organizations, or people who make the service possible or available, or ready to impact our lives. And the last question we have, and this comes to the mock-up of that we will like you to deliver. How does your service look and feel? Of course, we don't have all the information in terms of how the UI will be maybe on Desp yet, but that shouldn't stop you. You can deliver visuals, 3D renderings, as I said earlier, wireframes, role play, videos. Just let your imagination loose in terms of how to showcase your service and persuade us that this is a very interesting service to keep in mind. So final proposals, of course, we'll need a title, a brief summary, short description, visuals, a presentation file that explains in greater detail what it is that you have thought of and kind of help the judges follow your thinking process. You will have an option of sharing videos and GIFs or any other visual information that you might want to share that supports your proposal. It could be a diagram, a systems diagram, whatever you feel works best for your case. And of course, we want to know who you are and where you're based. And we want the material that you share with us to be under a Creative Commons license. And by no means, please make sure that you're not infringing any existing copyright. So the judging criteria of the proposals that we will be accepting in this challenge are the social impact that the proposal will have on this on the lives of people, the environmental impact of the proposal, how novel it is. We want to examine feasibility, but a note of caution here. When we say feasibility, we don't just want proposals that can be feasible tomorrow morning, let's say, but we want to look far into the future. So that you'll see will come into how we have addressed the prizes of this challenge. Then, how does this proposal fit Destination Earth's vision and what it is that what DestinE wants to achieve? And how appropriately is this proposal presented through its visualized mockup and supporting material? How will you make us believe in this proposal with its social environmental impact and so forth? So the prizes, we've got 3 prizes that all proposals are going to be up to. We have a prize for the most promising proposal. So here we'll see a concept which is viable and visionary, and we could see coming to life as of tomorrow. And it brings a novel perspective to uncharted challenges. But we also have a prize for radical realities, as we call it. So here we have a powerful vision in this proposal, where we get to see people using a service that really changes their life, but you can't really realize this proposal immediately. So maybe within the next 5 years or 10 years, it could be a reality. But we also have the Blue Sky Concept Prize. So here in this last prize, we want to highlight imaginative and groundbreaking ideas, bold promises, concepts that might not be able to, for any of us to kind of turn into reality in the next 10 years, but that shouldn't stop us, right? When we're imagining, we are envisioning, we want to go as far ahead in the future as possible. So that's why we've got these 3 prizes to kind of be able to capture imagination as far ahead as you would like to portray. Now, the awards for all prizes are the same. There's no classification first, second, or third. They're all the same. So they will be gaining credits for the platform once it's available and once it's open. The team and their members will have early access to the platform. And the last award is to be able to present this forward-thinking idea of yours to the community, to the rest of the community, all of us, in a final event. So in terms of the timeline, today is the 20th of March. We are having this kickoff event. The challenge will run until the 21st of April, when we will the final submission deadline is placed, so a month from now. And by early May, we will be contacting winners and announcing them. So by the end of May, we are planning to have a public presentation of winners, and that's the moment to shine. So I'm concluding here. We're really looking forward to your inspiring proposals. Please visit the Challenge's website, where you will be able to see more information and submit your proposals, and see the FAQs, and contact us with more FAQs if you feel like more should be shared. And if you haven't done this already, maybe you can even join the community of Destination Earth, but chances are that you're already part of the community if you're in this event. So share this challenge openly, invite more people in, even if they're not part of the community. We're really happy to have you on board. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I believe we can start the Q&A session. So there's a question. Is it compulsory to stick to the stories of this document, or can we have our own future narrative? It's not compulsory. It's a way to kind of consider and think of the future. If you feel like addressing a different story, we're more than happy for you to do that. We will not be asking in your deliverables we will not be asking you to share the story that inspired you. So feel comfortable to project the future however you might. I don't know what methods you're going to be using. We just suggest you to use this document because it's already available. It's got interesting perspectives and interesting content as a starting point, so that you can start your imagination sessions and work. So okay. If there's any more questions, we can hang around for a bit. I really want to thank Daniele, Daniel, and Alexis for sharing these updates, because every time we have these meetings, I do sense there's more happening and there's more sharing, and it becomes much more comprehensive and much more interesting to see how all these three components of this immense project and initiative kind of blend and come together. I really find it fascinating every time. There's one more question. Will we share the proposals sent in? We will be sharing the proposals, the winning proposals, and potentially runner-ups. I'm not sure yet whether we will be sharing the full list of proposals, but that's not a bad idea, actually. We will consider ways to do that, but for the time being, we are interested in sharing the winning proposals and potential runner-ups. Again, as I mentioned earlier, all information that we shared and this recording included will be made available soon on the Challenges website. So even if you have people interested, and even if you have colleagues that might be interested in taking part in this challenge, you can always share the link this innovation prize, and they will be able to kickstart their creative thinking. We really are excited. We really want to be surprised. We really can't wait to see the proposals that come our way.